Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Viet Lei from Wutan, Seattle. Today, I have the honor of interviewing this channel's host, Shifu Jorge Rubio Perez. He is originally from Venezuela, but currently residing in Massachusetts. He is a student of Master Yunys Zapata and is a grand student of Master Daishijo. I had a great time interviewing him. We're going to break down this interview into three parts. If you want to know more about Shifu Perez, stay with me and let's get to it. So we talked a little bit about how La Danza del Dragón got started in Venezuela. I was wondering if you could talk more detail about the curriculum that was taught at that school. You made mention that multiple styles,
Yeah,
multiple masters were teaching at La Danza del Dragón.
yeah,
Could you speak more about that?
yeah. So, uh, Grandmaster Tai, my Sukong, right?
Mhm.
Or Shiye. I don't know what's the right term. Trying to.
We call him, I might have to look this up myself.
When I visited Taiwan, he said, "No, you come in, Sukong, Sukong," and I was like,
Okay, let's
"Okay,
go with that then.
I,
Let's go
I'll
with that
I'll
then. We'll do
I'll do
we'll
Sukong."
call it, well, I think that if that's the right term, let's go with that. Let's not guess. If he told us that, he's probably
Yeah,
right about it.
he
Shugo.
told me to call him that way, so I believe him.
Okay.
Anyway, so when he started, well, I don't I shouldn't say just Grandmaster Tai, right? Grandmaster Tai, Grandmaster Su, and Grandmaster Fu. But he particularly taught all the styles that he knew, which
Mhm.
was, like I said before, praying mantis, mainly six harmonies.
Mhm.
Okay, that's a core style. He taught some forms of Qixing tanglangquan,
Mhm. Teaching 7 star. Mhm.
7 star tanglangquan, just like Pempu, Qixen, Sayao, a couple other forms, okay? But the
Mhm.
main core was six harmonies.
Mhm.
And and then he also taught Pachi, Piqua, Pakwa, Tai Chi. There was a separate class for Tai Chi. I learned this from my Shisu Yuri. There was a separate class for Tai Chi and Chinji Chuan,
Mhm.
which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, as far as Tai Chi, I think they taught Yang style and Chain style. Okay.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I mentioned it, but Pakwa as well.
Mhm.
Okay. So all pretty much all the styles that he knew were taught there. And a lot of individuals or students learned also, if they wanted, from Grandmaster Fu, Longfest.
Mhm.
Like I said before, I I know at least three Duilian forms from Longfest. Okay,
Mhm.
Quantao against Spear, Spear against Broadsword, and I'm missing one. I mean, at least three, but there all those Duilian were from Longfest style. And I think the only thing that I wanted to mention, I've said it in couple I have made a couple of comments in other interviews. I don't remember if I said this with you. Probably I did. Remember, the main core was obviously praying mantis, right? But in order to learn Pachi, Piqua, Paqua, you had to pretty much learn all the mantis curriculum, become a disciple, and then you were able to learn Pachi, Piqua, and Paqua. Okay,
Mhm.
that's how it was there, and I understand it was like that also in China, in Taiwan.
Mhm.
and some other masters did that at least at the beginning because I guess that's what they were taught, right?
Mhm.
So when we talk about did they used to teach Western individuals in Venezuela and all that? Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
Uh, but the only caveat with that was okay, if you want to learn um, Pachi, Piqua, Bagua, you need to become a disciple and work hard in your praying mantis as your core style and then be able to do that. And then all these classes of Pachi, Piqua, and Bagua were closed doors. Nobody could be there unless that you were a disciple and you
Mhm.
were learning one of those styles. Okay, so
Mhm.
the entire class was dismissed. Okay, the last class, and then they used to stay and practice these styles and different things. That was like the only particular thing that I can say about Master Tai teaching these styles. Yeah, he taught this style, but to his disciples. Okay, not to everyone.
The six harmony mantis style and Qixing Talang, seven-star mantis was available for pretty much everybody.
Yes, it was open to anybody that wanted to learn kung fu. Yeah,
Mhm.
and then they used to
Typically,
do like sparring and stuff. That we
mhm,
were heavy in sparring.
mhm,
And then my master Yunys kept that um after he kept the school. Okay,
mhm,
so for him, like, you couldn't move upper in the ladder unless that you knew how to spar,
mhm. Did you
basically.
guys did you guys wear gear at all, or was it
Yes, full
okay?
gear and all that. Similar. Then we started doing some Sanda with Sanda rules in order to
Mhm.
compete in national competitions in Venezuela and all that.
Sure.
But it was, yeah, full gear, takedowns. Okay,
Mhm,
my master learned Swai Chiao from Grandmaster Fu Sung Nan.
mhm.
He was very well known as a very good, well, a master in Swai Chiao, basically. So he
Sure.
learned from Grandmaster Fu before he went to a world championship in Taiwan. My master won
Mhm,
in 1986, I want to say.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, so we learned then from my master Swai Chao, takedowns, and but we were heavy inspiring.
So, like a typical class, would it be an hour long, 2 hours long?
So
What would the class be?
an hour and a half. I
Mhm,
remember typical class was pretty much warm up, and then depending upon the day of the week, for example, Mondays and Wednesday, it was only
mhm,
forms and weapons. Okay, so both classes, there was a class in the early afternoon around 4:30 that
mhm,
ended up at 6, but then advanced students used to stay from 6 to 6:37 just to do other stuff as well, right? Keep practicing and learning. Um, so the early class was mainly for kids, and
mhm,
there was another class during the night from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And then again after 8, advanced students used to stay and learn different things and stuff. That was Mondays and Wednesdays. Um, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays they had sparring, and then Fridays was kind of an open class in the early afternoon, like some more things to improve your so you call that, like, kind of like, well, in the early afternoon it was sparring for kids, Fridays,
mhm.
Tuesdays and Fridays, and then during the night was sparring for adult from Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's how we used to split the class. I'm talking about after, like, with my classes and my master, right? After Grandmaster Tai left. But I remember from talking to other people that back in the day it was similar.
Mhm.
They pretty much divided the classes by styles. Like I
Mhm.
said, Tai Chi and Chinji Chuan was in one class, and then there was a praying mantis class, long fist class, sparring 1 day a week, I think. And then they used to do applications of the different forms and moves, right? And with a partner, that kind of work. Um, and then my master, what I think he did is adding an extra day for sparring. And we used to do applications with a partner once in a while.
Okay. So
That's how.
very complete teaching. I mean, going from basics to forms to two-man forms to sparring to application. That's pretty much the whole package.
In a long class, if you think about
Right.
it, right? Because here
Right.
classes are 45 minutes, 1 hour
Right.
in general, right?
Water
And
break too.
there, yeah, and there it was like fully 1.5 and an extra half hour. And I remember staying also for the classes for disciples that was after the night class, after 8 p.m., like from 8 to 9, Baji, Piqua. There was a class on Monday nights with my master. Yeah.
This may be a question that could potentially be difficult to answer because I know this has to do with the generation before you. But when you had these three great teachers, right, Fu Songnan, Su Yuzhang, and Dai Zhizhe, um, did people once they came into La Danza del Dragón, they just chose one teacher and studied with only one teacher, or did you just try to get as much? Could you rotate amongst teachers?
I
How
understand
did
that
that?
you could do that.
Mm,
Like you could stay with. I remember I still know people that only stayed with Master Pusungnan
mhm,
until he died, until he
mhm,
passed away. Okay.
mhm,
But they also learned from Grandmaster Tai, for example, praying mantis.
mhm,
Grandmaster Food, he wasn't teaching mantis, only
mhm.
Grandmaster Tai, right?
Mantis.
So they could mix classes if they wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ultimately, the choice of becoming a disciple of one of those teachers, you would choose this. The
absolutely.
teacher would
Only
choose
one. Yep.
only one.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, since internationally, I think Master Dai is most famous for his six Hari mantas, which is a really precious jewel. Within Wutan, not many got to learn the entire Six Harmony Mantis
System.
curriculum, right, from Jiang
Yeah.
San. So it's interesting to hear our Kung Fu cousins from Venezuela, they got to start off with that, right? Um, Most of us in America, Six Harmony Mantis is very rare. We may be able to learn maybe one or two sets from our teacher. I think the most popular ones, at least off the top of my head, probably would be Jingli Canghua and Duan Chui. So I think it's interesting that Master Dai, number one, was so open about his six harmony matches that he had learned from Jiang San. I think the other thing that's interesting is that he was open and teaching pretty much everybody, right? So that's very nice to hear. Can you tell us more about what your opinions are for those who don't practice six harmony matches, who haven't had the pleasure of practicing that art? Can you tell me what the characteristics of six harmony mantis are? Um, what are your feelings about training in this art?
Yeah. So this question, I'll break it down in two parts. So the first part, I'm gonna make it simple, with what I know out of the characteristics of six harmony, praying mantis, and I will potentially mention a couple of differences with at least 7-star mantis.
Sure.
So, and then I'm gonna talk about how do I try to perform those styles, um, and how I was taught by my
Hmm.
master, right? So I think six harmonies is it's like I the I would, if I had to choose only one word to describe it, I would say it's like music. So it has that those highs and lows within the form, And I'm gonna get to the point I'm gonna talk about how I do it, right? And how I think it is. This is how I think it is, and then I'm gonna talk about how I do it.
Tu
But
propio
it,
opinión.
yeah, exactly. It's like music, right? It has its lows and highs and lows. The fudging, it's not in all the form. It's just in some particular moves only, right? At the end of the move, and it has low kicks, okay, compared to, for example, 7 stars, where you do more jumping and high kicks, right? Um, this one has very low kicks, so it's a kind of a perfect style that you could do your entire life if you think about it, right? You don't need to jump. You don't need to, I mean, jump high or kick high. No, it's something that you could do even if you are 80 years old. And if you look at Grandmaster Taiziche, he's still doing. I have videos that I took from him when I went to Taiwan in 2016, performing. For example, Liuhe which I asked him because I had the doubt when we talked about it, right?
Right.
And yes, he came up with that form. He created it. So you were totally right.
Um, it's interesting because I'm
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 still
planning on
impressed about it, but anyway.
I I know I've been fortunate enough to have talked to many Wutan practitioners, and I'm grateful that everybody has been able to share with me. So what little I have been able to pick up, I'm always willing to try to corroborate that with others. And the issue of creating forms, I don't have a problem with it. I think with Master Dai's experience, his dedication to keeping that legacy, to make a summary set like 六合螳螂, it makes
Yeah,
sense, right?
yeah,
So, kung fu is not meant to be just a something that you just dust off and you look at it and you just look at it from afar, right? It's meant to it's what we call like a living artifact, a living
yeah.
treasure, right? So, his innovations should be respected for that. So do you think that Six Harmony is a beginner style? Um, or do you think that it's meant to be reserved for higher level practitioners? Because it seems to be a style that you can do into your old age, but
Yeah.
would you, if I don't know how it was taught in Venezuela, but would you
I'm gonna
start
get
off
it
with
right
beginner
there.
forms like 7 star, and you
Yeah.
can talk more about that?
So we used to learn 7 star forms first
Mhm, mhm,
before learning six harmonies.
mhm,
Do I think it's a beginner style? Um, the footwork, it's a little different.
mhm,
It's not so much for beginners.
mhm,
Um, so obviously it has Apu and Kampu uh,
mhm,
along the way, right? But
mhm.
that's not like the main stances that
Mhm.
you do in six harmonies, and you know that, right? You've seen the style
Right,
and all that. So
right.
we used to start with 7 star, a
Mhm.
couple of forms from 7 star prayingmantis, and then starting learning the first I remember which is liuhe tuan chui,
One place.
yeah, at the beginning, and then cheiso chuan,
日口川,
and then qingli
Mhm.
chaohua after that.
病理仓皇. So you learned Duan Chui before Tanghuan. Duan Chui is a
So
very long set.
it is a very long set, and that was the first six harmony form that I'm sure you know this, Piet, but tuan chui has some influence from Lohan Chuan.
罗汉拳.
Yes.
So Marhot fist.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So, but that was the first one that we used to learn there before going into the more short forms, right?
Right, right.
Because that one is long. I remember even competing with that form for years, and I
Uh-huh.
remember like you ended up exhausted pretty much after that.
Right, for sure. And before you would go into these forms, would you practice certain drills? Would you break the form up into parts and then learn the form? Or did you learn the form first and then break it up?
I don't remember doing that for liuhe talent train. I
Hmm.
remember just jumping into the form uh, step by step,
Hmm.
but not doing drills. I remember doing drills for weapons
Hmm.
mostly. I remember doing drills for Tai Chi when I learned a little bit of Tai Chi.
Hmm.
Um, but not for this. So, but yeah, just to finish about the characteristic of six harmonies, I think it's literally harmonious. That's how I can describe the style. It's
Hmm.
and, and I didn't finish of how I do it, right? So the
Hmm.
way I was taught from my master, he was pretty much a competitor his entire life in
Hmm.
sparring, forms, weapons, everything. So, and this is something that even Grandmaster Tai did in Venezuela. He somehow modified some of the forms to make them more eye-catching, okay? To make them
Okay.
more with more jumps, more like more powerful move for either competitions, performances, all that. So that's when you ask me like, how do you think it's six harmony praying mantis? Yeah, I think it's exactly like how I describe it. Is that how I do it?
Mm.
No, it's not how I learned it and not how I do it.
Mm.
I try now to do it more now as it is instead of as if I'm competing with it, right?
Mm. Mm.
So that's what I'm saying. Like if you see me performing, I have a kind of a different style and how I do forms. It's like I would say with more power. Some people say that we do mantis in our school with some Pachi influence because we step strong
Mhm.
on the floor.
Mhm.
And well, I don't know, but I've always received pretty good comments about how we do forms and the way they look when we do it. Um, Again, going back to six harmonies, now I'm trying to switch to how it should be instead of how I used to do it my entire life with competitions and stuff. Um, and then, like I said, even Grandmaster Tai modified a little bit those forms. Even if you see the form that we learned in Venezuela for Cheiso Chuan,
Mhm. Sure,
is
sure, fine.
is different
Mm.
than the original form. He
Sure.
added this like a lot of kicks at the end of the form and jumps and stuff just to make it, like I said, more eye catching.
I mean, that's flavor. The
Like,
essence is still the same. So,
yeah,
when you're doing your forms as a younger person versus an older person, you're going to have
that
different perspectives. So I think that
yes,
likely might have been the reason.
that too.
Um, but from just an outsider perspective, when I see six Har Mantis, I think what catches me is the combinations and also the circles, right? So,
Hmm.
when we're going like this, right,
Yeah,
this kind of climbing movement, or we're going on a kind of a horizontal plane, and you're just
yeah,
kind of doing those motions, and everything is very symmetric, right? Left and right, right?
yeah,
Sometimes when you do the seven star mantis forms, it feels like it's weighted on one side.
yeah,
But the first couple forms in Six Hari Mantis, to me, it almost looks like they're more like drills already. You don't need separate drills because the really short forms like TS, you're basically doing things on both sides already, right?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
do you feel the same way about that?
yeah. Um, like I said, like the original Cheiso Trend,
Mm.
even Sounds Open as
Sancho Pen.
well. Like they
Mhm,
do like the same thing that you do to your right, you repeat it in the left side, right?
mhm,
So it has that characteristic as well. So you're totally right. And there's a couple of forms that are like that. Like they go
mhm.
just one line and then you just pretty much come back with the same. And then you do that closing at the end
Right.
from Six Harmony. That let
Mhm.
me tell you, we didn't learn that closing in Venezuela.
Oh.
And I think that's one of the things that Grandmaster Tai modified there. He added a different closing,
Mm.
okay? Not the one that the original one, I would say. It's a different one based on what I told you. Like back in the day, people used to do a lot of competitions and performances and stuff. So maybe that's why he changed that a little bit.
Mhm. Were there any weapons that were specific to Six Harmony that you learned in Venezuela?
So
Because typically in our organization in Wutan, we talk about certain weapons. For example, 空武剑, 六合螳, Six Harmony Spear. But were there certain weapons that were specific to Six Harmony?
so I actually didn't learn um, Six Harmony Spare in Venezuela. I
Mhm.
learned the spare from, well, not directly from him, but the one that the Grandmaster Fusungnan taught, which
Mhm.
is long fist spare.
There's a clip of it, by the way.
How is that?
There's a clip of you doing it, by the way.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I just
we should share it in the link.
a little piece of it, and I love
Mhm.
it. I
Mhm.
love those forms. Those are very um impressive forms.
Sure.
But I learned um broadsword from Six Harmony
六合刀.
and the staff, liuhe and liuhe kungfu.
嗯
Yeah, those are the two forms that I learned from Six Harmonies there as far as weapons. Oh,
嗯，
and Tao San Tao, double broadsword. Did I say
哦，那
that
个双
correctly?
双六合双刀，
Liuhe Tao Shan Tao? Is that the name or just Shan
well,
Tao?
双刀 means double saber. So 刀
Okay.
双刀 would be saber double saber. So
Okay.
I think it would just be 六合双刀 likely.
Got it. So that's the other one that I learned as well as far as Six Harmonies.
Very cool. Um, so going off on just on a little tangent here because you talked about how Master Dai talked about and also taught multiple styles. And Wutan we do teach many styles. What are your thoughts about learning multiple styles, so many forms? Should we specialize in just one style? Should we cut back personally on just focusing on just a couple of forms? Was the intention for us to learn everything under the system? What are your thoughts about that?
So this is a very, very interesting question. And I've been thinking about it. I actually took some notes here because I don't want to forget anything. And I think that time changes and we need to adapt.
Hmm.
Okay. I don't feel that we have the time that our grandmasters had back in the day to learn and train all these different styles. Is
Hmm.
difficult.
Hmm.
Especially if you don't learn when you're a kid,
Sure,
okay? Because when you're a kid, you don't have all those responsibilities that take so much time. I have
sure,
3 kids right now and a wife, right? I'm trying to put together my YouTube channel. I need to practice for myself. I'm
sure,
teaching my daughter kung fu.
right,
It's like I work, right? I have to it's I don't have the time to learn. Like if I had to start from the beginning now, I couldn't learn all the styles.
sure,
Not only that, but they are different, right? So if you're learning Pachi, you can you can't do Pachi as you do Mantis and vice versa,
you
right?
have to have that distinct flavor.
Yeah, so they are very different and same as Shen Yi, right? Shen Yi is different. Bagua, the footwork is different. Now, do they complement each other? Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I feel now that I've been learning Baji with my Shisu Vincent May through
Mm-hmm.
the
Baji Shrew program.
Baji Su program, and I've been learning a lot of basic drills that have helped me tremendously, I think, with my praying mantis.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the footwork, the fudging part of it. I feel like I can extrapolate that and use it in praying mantis and make it look more, impressive or more effective, if you want to say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, going back, do I think my answer is that it's very difficult to learn all the styles. They are all different, okay, and that's also difficult. And then the other thing is, do you want to learn one form of each style,
Mm-hmm.
or do you want to really learn one
But
style
right.
and then learn something about the other style?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
So
feel
having a
like
core, having a core.
having a core, but a really good core, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Something that you can say, well, I know praying mantis. Okay, show me. Yeah, let's go. And you will
Mm-hmm.
see performing mantis, and you'll see, okay, this guy knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's different when I say, well, I'm gonna do Bagua. I just know a little bit of Bagua.
Right.
Okay, just one form basically. I didn't learn the entire system. I didn't have the time to do it when I was in Venezuela. Plus, I was all the time training for competitions and stuff. That takes
Mm-hmm.
time as well because you just need
Mm-hmm.
to repeat and repeat and repeat the form that you're going to perform. Or if you're sparring, then do sparring and sparring and sparring. Um, so learning multiple styles, I would love to do that. I would love to learn all of them in depth, but I don't feel I will have the time to do that. Now, if you ask me now, I have a very good core of praying mantis. I know a little bit of Bachi and Piqua. I know one form of Bagua. I don't know Shenji. I know a little bit of Tai Chi, just probably one form, the 32 form, and the sword as well. And if you ask me, what do you think do you want to learn now? I would say, well, I would love to learn more Bagua.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I would love to become better in Apache, which I'm working on right now. But then that will take time. Like if I want to learn another style, right?
Sure.
And
So
then
some key points that I'm gleaning from your answer is number one, there's difference between learning and mastery, right?
yes, absolutely.
And so, you can learn everything under the sun, but do you have the time to practice and truly master
Yeah,
what you know, right? Showing a form is not the same as mastery.
yeah,
And I think that's something that, I think many of us in Wutan sort of struggle with sometimes is, a lot of these are just, again, precious legacies and we want to experience them all.
yeah,
And, depending on your teacher and depending on your time, you might want to endeavor to learn everything. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, what will you be able to really digest, right? That's a big
yeah,
question that each of us have to answer for ourselves,
yeah,
right?
yeah. If we take a look at history, right? Grandmaster Liu Yun Chao, he had Li Suwen in his
Hmm.
house for years,
Hmm. Hmm.
pretty much dedicated master, grandmaster for you,
Hmm.
and you have it all day long, and all you had to do was train in kung fu and learn. I mean, of course, you will be able to master each one of the styles that this grandmaster is teaching you
Sure.
because you had the time to do it, and you started
Hmm.
also as a kid, right? Grandmaster Liu started as a kid, so he
Hmm.
had the time. He didn't have the responsibilities, and he was learning from a great master as well. That he was lucky enough that he could learn different styles from Grandmaster Lisu Wan, right?
That concludes part 2 of this interview with Shifu Perez. Please make sure to check out part 1 and part 3 coming up. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up.